everybody hear me? Hello, everybody. My name is Erica Shimana. This is Daniela Garcia and Marissa Kohler. On behalf of USD's Accounting Society and Beta Alpha Psi, it is our pleasure to welcome you to Sophomore Career Day. I'd like to bring your attention to the packets that you guys have. On the back, you have the list of the speakers. Inside, you have a little brochure about the real estate major. You also have a little pamphlet regarding the accounting courses for undergraduate major, as well as a supply chain management minor. And lastly, you also have the salary guide for accounting professions. With that being said, we've invited a panel of several speakers, all of whom have had a variety of experiences in the financial information field, to demonstrate the broad spectrum covered by accountancy, finance, real estate, and supply chain management. It is my honor to present the first of today's speakers, Alicia Parkinson from Mitchell International. Alicia is a licensed CPA who joined Mitchell International a year ago as their senior accountant. Prior to Mitchell, Alicia worked as a senior audit associate at the Grant Thornton San Diego office. Alicia joined Grant Thornton after attending their Footsteps program and being an intern during her junior summer. During her professional career, Alicia has the opportunity to serve as an auditor for public companies and travel to Europe to do due diligence on a potential company. Alicia is a graduate of the University of San Diego with a bachelor's degree in accounting and a minor in Spanish. She is also an active member of the Cal CPA. Originally from Arizona, Alicia came to the University of San Diego for her college experience. While attending the university, she was involved in the Accounting Society, Beta Alpha Psi, as well as Gamma Phi Beta Social Sorority. Additionally, Alicia studied abroad in Guadalajara as part of her summer studies. Please join me in welcoming Alicia.
Hey all, my name is Alicia, as they mentioned, and I'm currently a senior accountant at Mitchell International. It wasn't too long ago, 5 years to be exact, that I was in your shoes living the days that most people my age now call the glory days. Your biggest worry is the outfit you're going to wear to class, what time you'll be able to make it to the beach, and when you can fit in your afternoon naps. Thoughts of internships, jobs, networking, and your professional career seem like a distant thought. I thought I would rewind and take you back on my journey of my professional career and how I got to the company and position I'm in today. It was the end of my sophomore year and summer was quickly approaching. I had little concern for my summer plans, but knew that I'd be going home to Arizona to relive the good old high school days and living under my parents' roof with home-cooked meals every night. To me, life just couldn't get any better. With my parents' motivation and a big push from Professor Judd, I decided to apply to a few summer weekend programs that the public accounting firms were offering, Grant Thornton's Footsteps program being one of them. However, I needed to take a few steps back before I could actually apply. First, my resume needed a ton of work. So I set up a meeting with Linda Scales so that she could review, edit, and as she put it, beef up my resume. Although she never said it, I could tell by her bewildered look that my resume needed a ton of work. So after 2 meetings and 3 long email correspondence later, I had something that I could be proud of and send on to potential employers. So with 1 application, a new black suit, and a clean resume later, I found myself being asked to come in for an interview for the Grant Thornton Footsteps program. The morning of the interview, kind of like today, I woke up a little nervous as this was my very first interview. During the interview with then manager of the office, who is also a USD graduate, who is now also my current boss, we started talking of, he first asked me to tell him the most memorable experience of college thus far. After telling him how I had studied abroad, we immediately found ourselves talking about my experience in college thus far, my hometown, and people we knew in common. An hour later, I walked out of the Grant Thornton offices thinking, man, what's the fuss about? That interview was easy, and hoping that somehow they would see in me what I loved about their firm. The day I was planning on driving back to Arizona for the summer, I got a call from the manager of Grant Thornton, telling me I was invited to attend the summer program. In addition to that, he had said that he had a tremendous opportunity for me. He explained how their receptionist was starting her real job with the company and the position had opened up. The kicker was they needed me to start the following week. I hung up the phone telling him I needed to discuss the opportunity with my parents and I'd get back to him. Man, did I sound professional. Well, I thought, there goes my summer of freedom. However, I also knew that this would be a tremendous opportunity. So, as I've learned in the past few years, it's important to take the opportunities when they present themselves. As you know, you never know where they will lead. So after a few phone calls later and quick planning, I accepted their offer and I was staying in sunny California for the summer. Not bad, right? And although my summer did not go as I had originally planned, it turned out to be an incredible experience. I was able to attend meetings with clients, proofread engagement letters, and gain a better understanding of both the audit and tax side of professional accounting. It was a great chance for me to be able to give consideration to both departments. Not to mention I got very good at knowing people's coffee orders. So fast forward 1 year, I was now at the end of my junior year of college, still working at the front desk of Grant Thornton, and hoping that I'd be able to get a summer internship for the summer. Grant Thornton had offered me the internship for the summer, but firmly encouraged me to interview with other companies. So, again, that's just what I did. Again, I found myself putting on that crisp black suit, having sweaty palms, and worrying about which questions I would have to answer in interviews. And after a few long interviews later, I'd ultimately decided that Grant Thornton was the place for me. My internship again turned out to be another incredible experience. I had chosen the audit side to do my internship in. I was able to work out at the client site with the audit teams, tour client factories, and for the first time put into practice of the information that the USD professors had taught me. Not to mention, one thing that I love is I got to eat a lot of free lunches and dinners, and who doesn't like that? And on the last day of the internship, the company had offered me a full-time job. So I called my parents that night, screaming in the phone and telling them that their only daughter was officially employed, and then I did a victory dance alone in my apartment. So now fast forward 3 years, I've graduated, got my own apartment, and taken on all of my bills. Unwillingly, but demanded of my parents, of course. I've become a licensed CPA after long, endless nights spent in the Copley Library. You thought you'd leave, but you won't. I have 2 years work experience under my belt, and I've found myself walking into controller and CFO offices regularly. Who do I think I am? I've pulled my first 14-hour day on the job, done an overnight inventory count, traveled regularly out of town, and racked up expense reports bigger than my monthly rent. Seriously, who was I? Now, you've heard about my experience at Grant Thornton, but remember, I work for Mitchell International. Don't worry, I'm getting to that. I was promoted right before busy season of my second year to Senior Audit Associate of Grant Thornton. I was ecstatic. My second busy season came and passed, and now I was into summertime. I realized during this time I was ready for a change. While public accounting had provided me an immeasurable amount of knowledge, a list of contacts that was invaluable, and friendships that would last a lifetime, I was still ready for a life that had a little more stability and a desk that I would constantly see, week after week. So again, I put on the crisp black suit and headed in for those interviews. However, this time around, I found a little more confidence and a little less sweaty palms. I ended up taking a job at Mitchell International as their senior accountant. My boss, shockingly enough, was the same boss who hired me at Grant Thornton. It's amazing what networking can do. So now let's fast forward 1 more year, and I find myself talking to all of you. This past year at Mitchell, I have found myself being challenged both professionally and personally. I have traveled to Spain to do diligence on a prospective client, lost my wallet while I was there, been audited and not the auditor, and gone through my own due diligence on a transaction of my company, all the while trying to maintain what little personal life I had left. So now with 3 years of professional experience under my belt, 3 years being out of college, I find myself still missing the La Paloma food, Copley Library Tuesday and Thursday hangout sessions, and maybe the occasional picnic Thursday night. But after 3 years of being out, I would like to think that I have a few pieces of advice to offer. Choose a firm and company based on your own needs and where you find yourself fitting the best. Continue to always evaluate your career in life. Working is much like being a part of a team or being in a sorority or fraternity. You choose based on where you find yourself fitting in at that time because you know those are the people you're going to spend the most time with. And lastly, try to enjoy your time right now. Seriously, I cannot believe I'm the one standing up here and not the one sitting in those chairs. Thank you.
I'm now to introduce Tom Mentillon from EY. Tom has over 8 years of public accounting experience. He joined Ernst & Young's San Diego office in September 2005. Tom serves clients in a variety of industries with a focus on biotechnology, laboratory, and pharmaceutical companies. Tom's industry experience includes pharmaceutical product commercialization and product launch, insurance and government reimbursement, contract manufacturing, gross to net revenue recognition, business combination and asset acquisition accounting, multiple element revenue arrangements, milestone revenue recognition, restructuring and debt, and equity transactions. Additionally, Tom has participated in the S1 registration statement filing process for multiple clients, as well as SOX 404 implementation and SEC reporting issues. Tom has served a mix of public and private clients, including Sequenom, Zogenix, Santaris, Amylin Pharmaceuticals, Genoptics, Vical, Prometheus Laboratories, and a host of early-stage venture capital-backed companies. Tom graduated summa cum laude and was the valedictorian of the 2005 graduating class from the University of San Diego with a Bachelor of Accountancy and a minor in economics. Tom is a certified public accountant and a member of the AICPA and the California Society of CPAs. Please welcome Tom to the stage.
Good afternoon, members. Oh, good morning. Good morning. We're still, no, we're afternoon now. But anyways, thank you for the opportunity to come out and speak with you all today. I think it's a privilege to be able to come back to the university and give back and sharing what my experiences have been in public accounting thus far. But I think before we get to the public accounting experience, we need to rewind a little bit and talk about where I started and how my path at USD came to be. So, back when I was a senior in high school, I actually took one of those accounting classes that they offered, and I'm a local San Diegan, so I was at Mira Mesa High, and they offered this class. I could get college credit for it out of the gates, and so I decided to take it. I really enjoyed it, and at the time, I was still going through the college application process, and USD offers a parent-student weekend in the spring for all prospective seniors to go and look and the different programs offered on campus and what they offer. So I clearly remember being in a session where Mark Judd spoke to all the high school seniors that had accepted USD, and there was another student who had just completed an internship, and they presented the accounting program to me, as well as all the other students in the classroom, and they said this particular individual was about to start their full-time job in the following year, actually in the fall, and they had a clear path set, and I said to myself, I want to be able to get out of college what I'm going to put in, all this hard time and effort, I want to get out of it really the most I can. And when I saw that one student and the internship that they had just completed and the future that they had set for themselves, I said, I want to be in that spot one day. But I also knew that as a freshman at USD, the accounting classes at the time were not really necessarily open up to freshmen. So I knew I had this accounting class that I had taken. I really enjoyed it. And then I decided, well, let's get all of my prerequisites out of the way, you know, the philosophy classes, religion classes, introductory economics classes done freshman year, and then starting sophomore year, let's go ahead and get started with the principles of accounting classes. And I clearly remember that very first class in accounting where they give you that project and you open up a 10K and you start doing ratio analysis, look at the company, understand some of the disclosures that they're making, and lo and behold, that's one of the few classes where, looking back, I still do that every day in and day out. When we're dealing with disclosures, I just issued a comfort letter today for a $60 million financing where we were going into the disclosures and we're circling numbers and assigning a level of comfort that we have over the numbers that we're going into the offering. In any case, long story short, sophomore year is a very important year for you all because you not only get first exposure to the accounting program, but you also start to decide, okay, what do I want to major in? So clearly after 2 classes in accounting as a sophomore, coupled with the experience I had coming into college, I was ready to declare in accounting. And I had made a relationship with a firm back when I was in high school. I received an accounting scholarship to help me code at USD. It was a very small scholarship, but I maintained that contact. I was able to work in their office that summer between sophomore and junior year and get that experience working in a CPA firm. I was just doing clerical duties, setting up files, talking to the CPAs, understanding what they did day in and day out. I worked out of the office all summer. Never worked on any client work, but I still got that experience under my belt because that set me up for going into an internship the following year when I applied for all of my internships. And at that time, based upon all of the experience I had and where I wanted to go, I was able to take an internship with Ernst & Young, and that was in the summer of 2004, right before Sarbanes-Oxley came out. Well, it came out that summer, but then the full implementation didn't take place until the fall. I accepted a full-time offer with Ernst & Young in the fall of 2004, and then I went back to school for my senior year. At the time, everybody was implementing their first year 404, so they gave me the opportunity to return for that spring during January intersession. I didn't take a class. I instead went back and worked for the firm for 3 or 4 weeks, got busy season experience. I knew what I was heading into, and then sure enough, I graduated, got started in September of 2005, and the rest is history. From putting this all in perspective, very briefly, I know we're short on time, but very briefly, my first 2 years I worked on companies that were not necessarily in what I specialize today. I worked on companies that dealt with semiconductors, I dealt with a retail consumer product company, contract manufacturer, and then when I became a senior, my schedule opened up again, and that's when I realized the power of San Diego life science and biotech industry. And that's where I started working on my first S1, which is, for those of you that don't know what an S1 is, that's the initial registration statement that a company will file when they're about to go public. And that one particular company, I filed over 15 registration statements with them. I was 25 years old and dealing with the controller and CFO on a host of different issues that were going into that filing and really understanding how the filing process worked. And from there, I worked on developing my experience with laboratories, merging life science and biotech companies, understanding the reimbursement process, understanding revenue recognition, gross to net. The most important things that are on the face of a P&L, face of an income statement, are how the revenue gets recognized. And so I got a lot of great experience doing that. And as your career develops, you can steer in a lot of different directions when you're in public accounting. I chose to continue down the life science and biotech path because that's one of the strengths of the city here. Is the life science community, but there's a lot of different avenues you could take. You could go into real estate through public accounting. You could go into retail consumer products, tech, and even media and entertainment if you're to look into another north to LA. So I've been very fortunate to be with the firm for 8 years. I'm now a senior manager, and I supervise several different teams in many different industries, and I think that it's a great opportunity if you're interested in public accounting to go attend as sophomores. In between sophomore and junior year, the firms offer sophomore leadership programs where I think it's a 2 to 3 day experience where you go and you meet the firm, you get to see different presentations across all levels, whether it be the staff, the seniors, or executives presenting to you, and you'll get a flavor for what your future could be as an intern within public accounting. And I highly encourage you, if you have any interest, come talk to me after the presentation today and I can give you more details. But certainly public accounting is a great opportunity to get the most experience right out of school and make the most of your education from school and go and get licensed and give value back to the clients that you serve locally.
Now I'd like to present Meredith Scheib from CareFusion. Meredith joined the Financial Development Program at CareFusion in July of 2011. She has completed 2 rotations as a part of the program and is currently reaching the end of her final rotation. She began the program in financial planning and analysis and has now switched to the accounting side of the business. She is currently a part of the consolidations team and specifically handles international related activity. As part of requirements for the program, she has had numerous opportunities to present to the CFO and various vice presidents in the company on current related business issues. Meredith graduated from the University of San Diego in 2011 with a bachelor's degree in finance and a minor in communication studies. While attending university, she was a 4-year member of the USD Spirit team and a member of Alpha Chi Omega social sorority. Meredith studied abroad in Madrid for the fall semester of her junior year. Please welcome Meredith to the stage.
Okay, hi everyone. So I'm Meredith and I graduated in 2011 as a finance major here from USD. After graduation, I joined the financial development program at CareFusion. For those of you who don't know, CareFusion is a medical tech company located here in San Diego. We do have an international presence, so we're a global company. Our mission is to cut costs for hospitals and help improve patient safety. So some of our main products would be anytime you've ever had an infusion pump in a hospital, and we also do a lot of dispensing machines for drugs within the hospital. So it sounds cliche to say, but I really do care about our products, which helps make my job more exciting every day when I do believe in the mission of what our products are trying to do. So a little bit about the program I'm in. It's a 3-year rotational program, which is really great because you get to try out all different areas of finance and accounting. Along with our job responsibilities, we're also required to give different presentations to our CFO and other VPs within the company. A recent presentation I gave was strategy for international expansion for our company. And we're also required to lead various projects within the program. So it's a great opportunity to keep growing and expanding my knowledge along with my work. To give a little side-by-side comparison, I started in finance with CareFusion. So my first role was supporting our global customer support segment. So I was very close to the business, which I really enjoyed. I got to learn the products that our customers were using. Within this finance role, I was doing a lot of variance analysis. I was looking at the data that was coming in every month, looking at how we were coming in to budget, and doing that variance analysis, trending that data, and then going ahead and making our forecast decisions every month of how we were going to end up for the year. I was going through, the expenses with a fine-tooth comb, looking at where we could cut costs and where we were doing really well saving money. Along with that role, my biggest project was writing the budget for the future year. I was in charge of writing the budget for my dispensing unit, which I served on the customer support side. After that year in financial planning analysis, I switched over to accounting, and I just did general accounting. I was in charge of a lot of account reconciliations, learning my basics, debits and credits, and preparing a lot of amortization schedules, and also looking at a lot of flux analysis month over month. Then I joined the consolidations team, which is where I am now. For me, consolidations is a perfect hybrid between the finance and accounting side. I get to do all the international elimination process, and I do focus a lot on the international side, which for me is very exciting. Because the way CareFusion was put together as a lot of little different companies, our product flow and our intercompany accounting is very complicated. So I'm constantly learning, the organizational structure, it's constantly changing. Any point in time where that product is touching a different plant, we have to recognize the revenue and the cost at that point in time. So in consolidations, what we're doing is kind of taking all the different parts of the company, I like to say tying a big bow on it, and that's the financials we present out to our shareholders as here we are as CareFusion. So I just want to give you my top 3 takeaways that I would say if I was in your position today. Number 1, take every opportunity to present and practice public speaking in your classes. You will have to present and public speak every day in your career, so take advantage of those times you have in your class now. And I will tell you that USD students are some of the best prepared on this. We have a lot of USD graduates in our development program, and our director every day says that the USD students are the strongest on this point. And I truly believe that's because of the professors and what they require you to do in your classes. So take advantage of that while you can, because it will pay off. Number 2, be picky about your internship. And don't be afraid to choose something that might be outside of your comfort zone. Don't necessarily pick the first internship that comes across your desk just to check off that box and say, cool, I got an internship. Pick something that's going to challenge you and that you're going to be able to use that knowledge later down in whatever career you choose to do. Also, don't feel that just because you're maybe a finance major, you can't do an internship in accounting, or vice versa. Pick something that you really feel is going to challenge you and something you want to learn. And my last word of advice would be, think about what you want as the foundation of your learning. So you are going to spend a lot of time in the classroom, you're going to spend a lot of time studying. Pick something that's going to be worthwhile studying for your future career. The best example I can give you is, yes, I was a finance major. Looking back on this now, hands down, I wish I would have been an accounting major. I've now seen both sides in the company, finance and accounting. And even with the finance, I feel that I would have been more prepared had I had that accounting knowledge as my foundation. I'm a firm believer that if you can learn the foundation of what you're doing, no matter what it is, then you can excel in whatever career you choose. So even if you pick accounting and you understand that foundation and you later want to do a career in finance, I still truly believe that because you've learned that foundation, you're going to be better prepared in that career and you'll be able to excel quicker and further on that side. So like I said, pick something that is really going to be the foundation of what you want to go into, because that's going to give you the best experience you can. Anyways, enjoy the rest of your semester, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk.
Thank you, Meredith. Next, I would like to invite Benjamin Murray from USD Burnham Moore Center for Real Estate. Ben Murray is a student in the Master's of Science in Real Estate at USD, and he currently works at Red Hill Realty Investors as an acquisitions intern. Prior to entering the MSRE program, Ben worked at Murray Realtors as the financial manager from 2011 to 2013. He is a licensed real estate sales agent and received a BBA with an emphasis in finance from USD in 2011, which he attended on a 4-year golf scholarship. He traveled extensively throughout the nation, playing competitive golf at the amateur, collegiate, and professional levels. With that being said, please allow me to introduce Benjamin Murray.
All right, so before I begin, I need to find a little bit about you guys. So how many of you currently have an internship? That's pretty good. How many of you are involved actively in a student organization like the Accounting Society or the Finance Club? All right, so there's a couple people. I'm going to talk a little bit more about some of the mistakes that I made rather than what I think that I did correctly, because I think you can learn more about what I felt that I did wrong. So before I even was looking into college, the only thing that was interesting to me was golf. I was not looking into academics. It wasn't something that I was focused on. From the age I was 10, everything that I did, all of my strategic decisions was to create a better way for me to have a better chance at playing professional golf. And I mean, you'll see later that that was a very large mistake on my behalf. But going into college, I didn't come to USD because of the academics. That was just a bonus, and I was really lucky that it happened to be a great university. I came here for the golf program to give myself that better chance. And once I got to graduation, and that graduation day, I was ecstatic because this was the day that I'd been waiting for, so that I could explore and chase my dream of playing professional golf. And it ultimately backfired, because when you've got a business model that you've got a whole lot of expenses and only one check coming in, you normally go bankrupt. So after those 3 months, I had to look in the mirror and see what it was that I had as far as my value to a future employer so that they would hire me. During school, I didn't take advantage of the student organizations or the internships. I did do an internship, but it was for the class credit. I can guarantee you it wasn't so that I could dig into seeing what that company had to offer, and that was another huge mistake. So at that point, I did what everyone wants to do after college. I moved back home and worked for my parents. And it was a great learning experience, and it actually opened up another passion that I really didn't know that I had. It had to do with real estate. They have a residential brokerage firm based in La Quinta, and for those of you who don't know where that is, it's where Coachella Fest is, or you can ask your grandparents, they probably have a house there. So, I spent about a year before I learned that I wasn't exactly, I wasn't content being there. So I wanted to branch out and figure out if there was something else that I could do that gave me that fulfillment. And I went to a continuing education course in San Francisco. It was a week-long real estate course, and I learned through speaking with some of the people there that there was so much more to the real estate industry than just selling houses, and that was all that I understood at the time. And I mean, they were all incredibly intelligent. They were very experienced. They dealt with very complicated, sophisticated investments, which was more of the side that I wanted to get into. And from that point on, I started digging in and looking into graduate level programs that would give me the experience and the network and the knowledge that I felt that I needed in order to be successful and get to the point where I wanted to go. And that has led me to this point where I'm at now. I'm 2.5 months in the real estate program, and I can tell you that I've taken a completely different approach, and it's changed my perspective on school. I can tell you I still don't like doing the homework, which I'm sure many of you don't like doing it either. But you've got to take the initiative and get out there and contact people, create networks. And when I say networking, I don't mean like going and taking a couple of Jello shots and having a Corona with your friends at the beach. I mean, like getting involved in those student organizations and actually having intellectual topics to talk about, because those people that you spend that time with are going to be the people that you go on business ventures with, or they might even be the person hiring you one day. And to be able to have that connection and that relationship will give you a leg up on the competition. And I'm trying to think if I've got anything else that I can tell you. Just get out there and be as active as you can in the community. The university has so many different programs to offer. They have so many connections with industry leaders. Go in and ask them to connect you with someone that you would want to talk to. Just take them out to lunch. I'm sure they would buy you the lunch. Just ask them questions. Ask them what they do for a living. Everyone loves to talk about themselves. That's what I'm doing up here. So just make sure that you take advantage of these years, because you will not find more opportunity elsewhere. That's all I have to say, so thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you, Ben. Now I would like to introduce Cole Sanders from Sempra Energy Utilities. Cole Sanders graduated from USD in May 2011 with a Bachelor's of Accountancy with an emphasis in supply chain management. After graduating from USD, he began working at San Diego Gas and Electric Company as an intern in the supply management department. In his current role as a contracting agent, Cole manages over $40 million in contracts annually.
Thank you guys for having us here today. How many of you guys know something about the supply chain management, either emphasis in accounting or the minor? Just out of curiosity. Okay, so not too much. So hopefully this will be interesting and you'll learn something. So what do I do every day? So as a contracting agent, I buy things and I use things very generally because my clients are in every aspect of our company. So starting all the way down in our fleet and facilities. So the guys that make sure I have a desk to sit at and a car to drive, all the way up through the groups that are building power plants, maintaining all of our distribution systems. So some of the things that I've worked on and some of the things that we've bought, normal everyday things, office supplies, but more interesting through lawyers, accountants, consultants, so that we can work on special projects, all the way up to bought a helicopter, which was kind of interesting. I know about nothing about helicopters when I started, and I still know almost nothing, but I know a little bit more than when I walked into this room saying, "You're going to buy a helicopter today." I also learned that if you work out in the desert, where there's bighorn sheep or bald eagles, you have to have a monitor. So we actually had to hire somebody that would sit out in their truck with the air conditioning, making sure that our crews weren't disrupting, a bald eagle nest or digging in an area that was going to make the bighorn sheep not be able to get to wherever the bighorn sheep go. So every single day of my job is changing, and I've been lucky enough to work for a company that trusts me, a guy who graduated college, 2.5 years ago, with writing over $45 million in contracts a year. So sometimes I'm not sure why they trust me, but I'm kind of glad that they do. So again, like has been said before, explore all the opportunities. The thing that really got me interested in supply chain management is really understanding how the businesses work, and accounting really gave you the background of understanding where a dollar earned goes, where a dollar spent goes, and how at the end of the day you could find out if you're going to make money, or like Ben said, if you're going to be bankrupt and having to move back home or start a new business somewhere else. So from that, I really wanted to take a deeper dive into figuring out, what makes the companies run, what can we do better. So I like to work with my clients to figure out what they need to buy. So not just that they need to buy a helicopter, but let's make sure that we're buying the helicopter that they need. I'm sure they could have bought something smaller and they would have had to buy 2 of them, or they could have bought something bigger and they would have paid twice as much money for something they didn't actually use. So making sure that you're buying the right thing at the right price, so you really understand that that dollar that you're spending is doing the most that it could. So aside from that, how does supply management really relate to accounting? You have to go into a negotiation to figure out, okay, we're buying something for $3 million today. My clients have a budget of $1 million this year, so we got to figure out a way to make this $3 million project spread over the life of, their 2.5-year budget. So again, all the core accounting background, has to get put into practice somehow so that you could really afford to buy the things that you need to keep your business running every single day. So, I want to keep it short, but I don't think I have anything else that's probably going to keep you on the edge of your seat, and I think I'm the next thing between you guys and lunch. So, if you have more questions, I will probably be around, and definitely take all the opportunities you get. Again, make sure you're picking something that you're interested in, not just that you think is going to look good on a piece of paper, because I think my resume lost my college information, aside from the fact that I graduated about 3 months after. So make sure it's something that you really enjoy doing, because you're going to be doing it for a long time.
Next, I would like to introduce to you Brendan Bergani and Cassandra Rickett, USD accounting students and KPMG advisory. Brandon Bergani is a senior accountancy and finance major. He was a resident assistant for 2 years, and he is currently the treasurer for Sigma Phi Epsilon. This past summer, he completed an internship with KPMG in San Francisco, working in their transactions and restructuring advisory department. He will be starting full-time with KPMG in September 2014. Cassandra Rica is a senior accountancy and information systems major, also working on her master's of accountancy. Throughout her time at USD, she has served as treasurer and president of USD Dance Company, VP of Finance for Alpha Delta Pi, and is currently the VP of Recruitment for Alpha Delta Pi. This past summer, she completed an internship with KPMG in San Francisco, working in their IT attestation advisory department. She will be starting full-time with KPMG in September 2014.
Hey everyone, I'm Cassandra.
And I'm Brendan Perdani.
I guess we're here to talk to you guys a little bit more about the different options you have open to you as sophomores, whether it be looking at public accounting, whether it be a finance major, whether it be computer science, who knows what you want to do. And also, where do you want to go after graduation? It was mentioned that we both interned in San Francisco, and a lot of you are from out of state, maybe want to go back home after you graduate, so we'll kind of talk about those concerns as well.
Alright, so how do we get to where we are? Well, obviously it goes without saying, and I don't want to sound cliche, you have to study and do all the work, and your grades do matter, but what steps can you take now so that you can be up here in 2 years? So the first thing that I did that kind of started me on this path was I joined the Accounting Society in the spring of my sophomore year, and that really, from there, everything just kind of goes in a line from there. So from there, you got to be proactive in reaching out to the firms. It's been mentioned a lot today, but I attended 2 of the leadership programs, and those play a huge role in the recruitment and hiring process. It consists of an office tour and visit 1 to 2 days, networking activities, you get to meet all the different professionals, get a lot of free food. On a personal level, it helps because you are going through interviews, and that was the first time I really had a professional interview, and went through 5 or 6 of them, so by the end it was just, didn't even have to think about it. It also gives you a head start with the firms to impress them. You get FaceTime, and by the time recruiting season comes around in your junior year, you already know a lot of those recruiters on a first-name basis, and they remember you. And the way you get signed up with those is you kind of just watch your email, they'll come through on Torero link, and just Accounting Society usually makes an announcement. The other piece of advice I would give is it's very important that you voice your interest from the start and be ready to talk about what you want to do with your career. I was kind of unprepared going into some of these things. They would ask me, so audit or tax, and I'd only taken managerial accounting and financial accounting. I had no idea what those even consisted of and what I wanted to do. But they'll definitely ask you that, so be ready to talk about that, especially if you want to go the advisory route, which Cassandra's going to talk more about, because they typically don't recruit for that on campus.
So as mentioned in our intros, I am an accounting major with an emphasis in IT, and Brendan is an accounting major that's also doubling with finance. I think one of the greatest parts about advisory is that it's less known, but it offers everyone more of an opportunity to specialize and do something that they're interested in. So I didn't really want to do financial statement analysis or do audits. I did not think that would be something that would inspire me to go to work every day. So I decided I was going to go for an advisory internship in IT advisory and attestation, which I'll talk about later. But similarly, Brendan, same exact experience, didn't really want to do auditing every day, wanted to do something different. So he worked in the transactions and restructuring environment of KPMG, and you basically get to utilize those skills that you might not know you have, but something that you might develop and something that inspires you to go to work every day. Something that's always changing. Clients that are expanding worldwide, clients that are developing new processes, and you get that opportunity to help shape them from a more, advisory perspective where you can look at this is their process now, how do we want to improve in the future, and basically you get to work with any client that you want. You're not necessarily bound by auditor issues where you can't work on this client because it's a client of this other firm. You can go across all of the different clients and work on the Apples, the Googles, the Visas, the LinkedIn's, and whatever you may want to do. So I worked in the risk consulting section, which kind of takes a look at the business processes and strategies and evaluates how those come into play with the different risk measurements that you guys are learning about right now. How many of you have heard about SOX? Okay, so It's a big deal, and that kind of plays into what I do in IT advisory. I'm looking at the internal controls of the company, how they have their internal control structured to eliminate risk and go ahead and address those concerns that were brought about by, well, most famously Enron. So you get to figure out how we can avoid these and how to structure companies in the future so they can better play a part in, being reliable, consistent companies that people can trust and depend on.
In addition to risk consulting, most of the firms also offer management consulting and transactions and restructuring branches of advisory. Management consulting kind of consists of, it's in the name, consulting management, but process improvement, efficiency, looking at how the organization is designed and reworking that to become more efficient. I work in the transactions and restructuring advisory department, which is further broken down into a transactions and a restructuring branch. Restructuring, an example of something they would do is they would help a company that's going through bankruptcy kind of relaunch and come back out and restructure. And then transactions, where I worked, is all about acquisitions. They offer many services. Where I worked it was called financial due diligence. And the best way to explain that was through an analogy that was actually given to me by one of my managers. And he said, when you buy a used car, you would take it to a mechanic, have them look it over top to bottom, test drive it, tell you if there's any red flags with it, and if the price you're paying is fair. We essentially do that for a company, often a private equity firm that wants to buy another company. We look over management forecasts, interview management, evaluate forecasts, like I already said, and then we adjust their financial statements from, which oftentimes is an accounting or like a general accepted accounting principles number, and put it into a real world number that what costs they can expect to incur when they take this company over on day one. And so that was where I worked. That on the West Coast is only offered in San Francisco, LA, and Silicon Valley. They also have an office that does transaction services in Phoenix as well. So Cassandra's going to kind of talk about what it's like to recruit outside of San Diego.
That being said, whether you're here for the extra credit and free pizza, advisory is definitely something you should look into, because no matter what your major is, I'm sure there's a way that you could work into the advisory component. So recruiting out of San Diego, how many of you are from a different state or a different part of this state and want to go back home? Okay, so I think right now as a sophomore, it's important to go ahead and reach out to those recruiters and make those connections from the start. Brendan mentioned it earlier, but essentially those recruiters are your key to unlocking the rest of the United States, if you put it that way. You make relationships with the recruiters in San Diego. Oftentimes you'll go through your first round interviews, you'll get to know them, form that relationship, and from that point they will direct you out to, you want to go to San Francisco, or you want to go to LA, maybe you want to go to Chicago or New York. It's important to remember that all of these recruiters are in fact friends, so if you kind of blow off a recruiter in San Diego, it will come back to bite you later on in your future. Definitely make sure that you're forming those relationships, that you're being a great presentation of yourself. You have the accounting societies on your resume. You're able to talk about them, and you know what you want to do and where you want to be, because if you can start off with that, you'll be in a much better position to get what you want in the future.
So kind of following up on that, the next step in the process is typically the first round interview would be in San Diego, and then after that the recruiter will pass along your information to the office you are trying to work in. And so you get to typically travel up there, they'll fly you up or get you a hotel, which is always a cool experience. And then we had the second or final round interview up there, which is a little bit more extensive. It usually consists of like 3 or 4 interviews with people ranging from like manager up to partner, and then take you out to a formal dinner with several of the professionals and just see how you interact in a professional setting. It's also interesting to just kind of see, even though they're all the same firm, sometimes they have different cultures or a different feel amongst the different offices, so it's good to evaluate that. And then also, when you're in the other office, you can kind of see what clients and what industries they serve up there. That's really all we had to talk to you guys about today, but I know it seems like a lot, accounting society, leadership programs, all the internships, but 2 years ago I was sitting out there, I didn't know I wanted to major in accounting, I just wanted to get extra credit, so I came to this. And here I am today, 2 years later. I honestly can't believe it, but it's a lot easier than it sounds, and the biggest thing is just to get started, join the accounting society, and if we can do it, you guys can do it. So, thank you.